My name is McCauley. We're talking about barriers to weight loss. We deserve to be healthy. We deserve to be whole. And so many of us have trouble forgiving ourselves. Maybe if I wouldn't have quit Weight Watchers in 1972, maybe I'd be a size 10 now. Why did I do this and why? Present, past, future. Can't do nothing about the past. Nothing. I haven't seen a time machine. Has anyone? Is there anyone at your house? Can you go back to those years? No, it's over. And so often we have trouble forgiving ourselves, but there's many of us who might have trouble forgiving others. And that anger, that resentment, maybe that's a barrier to losing weight. Frederick Luskin, a Stanford researcher who studies forgiveness, defines it as this, and I have to read it because it's so beautiful. The moment-to-moment experience of peace and understanding that occurs when an injured party's suffering is reduced by the process of transforming agreements that they have held against an offending party, even if that person is you. And it's so funny because there was times where, I thought, with the kids, any parent ever have a regret over anything they said or did or done to the kids? My one daughter, I treated each one differently based on what their issues were. One you couldn't yell at, and one you had to talk down. Each one had their own thing. And I got an email from my one daughter who's got the two kids down in down in Virginia Beach. And she says, being a mom, I've reflected a lot on growing up, and I might cry, because I always cry, because this is prayed up when we're talking about forgiveness and self-loathing. And she goes, I am so grateful. She goes, I know there were times that you were tough on me and that you regret it, but I got to thank you for those times, because now, and then she went on and on and on, and I laid my head on the desk and I just sobbed. I just forgave myself for not being perfect, forgave myself for maybe having PMS and snapping at the kids. It was very cathartic. We forgive ourselves, and it's easy for me to forgive others. I don't know about you guys, but I have so much trouble with me. But others, like my dad, was an alcoholic. He would hit us. I would have to hide in the closet because he'd always come after me. But you know what? I loved him. My mother would say, your dad's not well. Your dad's got a disease. My mother is a saint. God bless her. God bless her. She'd say, your dad's not well. He's got a disease. And he got better over the years, but I never hated him. I never was upset with him. I always knew his heart. His heart was so beautiful, and I forgave him for any mistakes he ever made unconditionally. So I want to forgive myself the same way and how easily I forgave my father. And I suggest we all understand that forgiveness is a path to freedom. It frees one from the control of the offender, even if it's you. If we forgive, there's decreased anger and negative thoughts. There's decreased anxiety, decreased depression and grief, decreased vulnerability to substance abuse. I don't know about you guys, but when I read the paper, and let's say there was a drunk driver, killed a teenager, and then you read a couple weeks later that the parents of the kid who died went to court and forgave the guy. And said, I understand that this wasn't you as a person, that you made a wrong decision. We just want you to know we forgive you. And I'm reading it going, there's no way I could do that. Or would you ever see Death Row where the parents go and they forgive someone for murdering someone? I'm thinking, how do they do that? How do they forgive that? I'd be probably with an Uzi in the parking lot trying to gun the person down. I'm thinking, how do they do that? Especially when it comes to your children. And I'm always attracted to that kind of forgiveness because it is so Christ-like. It is so beautiful. It is so unconditional. And we need to look at ourselves and others with that Christ-like forgiveness. Did he say to Mary Magdalene, did he say, let's talk for the next 20 years about all the mistakes you made and let me throw it up in your face and make you pay for it over and over again? No, he said, don't sin no more. Your sins are forgiven and forgotten. Here's another way to helping others who have been suffering may help you to understand yourself and move through your own painful experiences. You don't think me facilitating this group has helped me work through my own painful experiences? Well, the answer to that question, everybody, is Y-E-S. Yes. We need to reaffirm and reassess what you feel your purpose in life is, in light of just thinking about forgiveness. I already told you I did that. God, my health, family and friends, money. We need to just take a look at a situation. You know, this person's no longer in the group anymore because, well, for a very, 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 very good reason. And he's an older guy. And I did a meeting once on forgiveness, and he took me aside. I'm not mentioning names. I'm not violating his trust, because he mentioned it to the group a couple times. Had a stepfather, and he was an older man, too. I'm talking 80s. And for years and years and years, he held on to this anger about being beaten and being hurt by the stepfather. And this grown man stood here and just sobbed, and I held him, and he said, it feels so good to let it go. The guy had been dead for like 50 years, and yet every day he'd wake up with that anger. So if you're carrying that kind of anger, I just want to let you know that it only hurts you, that forgiveness is a healing experience that you give yourself. So often unresolved anger is a factor in addictive and compulsive behaviors. And even if that old anger is against yourself, it can poison relationships, prevent true intimacy. It breeds bitterness, resentment, mistrust, and fear. But you might be saying, but Ellen, I got a really good reason to be angry at this person because he did X, Y, and Z, or she did X, Y, and Z. Let it go. You say to yourself, this is a gift I'm going to give myself. It doesn't make what they did right. You don't say, oh, I'm glad you did that. It just, you let go of that anger that's holding on you. And how many times do you hear, well, I had a dysfunctional family? Well, I could probably say, raise your hand, I think everybody's family's dysfunctional. Wally and Beaver did not live next door to me in Elmira Heights, New York. June did not have her pearls on every day making the casseroles. And you know what's so funny? So often I think our family's kind of cray-cray. And Vince is down there in New York City, and he sends us a text message to both of us. He says, I just love you guys so much. When I'm listening to these other people, I realize what a wonderful family I have, how loving and kind, and I just appreciate it so much more. I'm thinking, our dysfunctional family is better than, I said, those poor kids down there in New York City, if they're worse than us, because I think we're all dysfunctional. Let it go. Just say, anger is an emotional response to a perceived injustice. Don't you think, hey, they should appreciate me because I worked so hard. I did the best I could. And then you get angry about it. It's always a justice issue. It's thinking or feeling that I don't count. My thoughts aren't important. I'm not important. That's big with me. I want to validate my existence. I'm smart. I work hard. Appreciate me. And what's helped me through that is saying, Jesus is walking with me. And he's saying, good job there, Ellen. I love pray it off. We get our validation through Christ. A validation that lasts for all eternity. We need to understand that addiction, even to Twinkies, Ho-Tos, chips, whatever it is a disease. Forgive yourself for that addiction. Learn communications and assertiveness skills. You might say, well, I want to put my health second, but no one will let me in my family because they're saying you got to go to dinner on Thursday night and you got to do this and you got to do that. And then you just learn how to say, this meeting's important to me, I'd love to be with you, but not tonight. Say it over and over again. Don't yell, don't scream, say it over and over again. And prayer can help people let go of self-pity and thoughts of revenge. Do you ever have thoughts of revenge, anyone? Oh, big time. This is what I'm going to do. I'll show that. And then no one will know I'll subversively do this or that or this or that. And then there were nights I'd lay in bed thinking of some sort of revenge, and then I'd be so worked up I couldn't fall asleep. Let it go. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Does it sound familiar to anybody? Anyone ever hear that phrase? Because I think we say it a gazillion times in our lives, but do we forgive others their trespasses? Do we forgive ourselves our trespasses? It's a process. Everything, pray it off's a process. You lose a pound, you gain a pound, you lose 2 pounds, you gain 3 pounds. It's a process. So is forgiveness, so is self-love, so is working through the self-sabotage. I'm going to stop right there, Bob.